Welcome back to the flow of the cosmos, where light and darkness intertwine and truth hides within the faintest traces of data. Tonight, we are not speaking of brilliant stars. We're speaking of the silence of a lonely traveler, 3I, Atlas, and how it has rewritten the laws of physics with just a gentle touch. If you're listening from somewhere far across the Earth, tell me, where are you beneath this night sky? For weeks, the astronomy community had been haunted by sunspot AR 3379, a magnetic storm, unstable and immense, a ticking bomb suspended in space. Scientists are quietly warning of a powerful solar event, a coronal mass ejection, or CME, an eruption so immense it could ripple through space and disturb Earth's magnetic heart. But their deepest concern wasn't the Sunday. It was a cold, wandering point of light, gliding silently through interstellar space. 3I Atlas. To the public, it was just an unusual comet. But to minds like Dr. Vasquez, it was an unresolved enigma, an object whose path refused to obey the laws of gravity. It had no visible tail, no plume of gas or dust, and its motion appeared driven by a subtle, unexplained force, as if guided by intention. Then, the impossible happened. Orbital models confirmed. The CME was on course to collide with 3I Atlas. Scientists braced for annihilation, for vaporization, but Dr. Vasquez, captivated by the object's mysterious density, expected something else. Not destruction, but awakening. She knew, if 3I Atlas wasn't made of ice and rock, then this touch of solar fire would be the switch that turned it on. The event had begun. A CME, a solar storm of plasma, swept across 3I Atlas, not as a violent collision, but as a magnetic caress, billions of tons of charged energy brushing gently against the lonely traveler. Then came the silence. No explosion, no vapor trail, no debris. Telescopes around the world all reported the same thing. Nothing happened. Minutes after the CME passed, 3I Atlas vanished, not destroyed, but behaving in a way that defied every known law of physics. Then came the realization, one that chilled every researcher who saw the data. The object hadn't been destroyed. It had absorbed the entire CME, an energy burst equal to 1 trillion nuclear detonations, and it emitted no heat, no radiation, no loss. It converted the energy. And suddenly, a terrifying question emerged. Can a comet consume a CME? Or are we witnessing technology, something designed to harvest energy from our sun? The evidence was undeniable. The collision wasn't destruction, it was activation. The silence broke, replaced by something far more unsettling: response. The brightness of 3I Atlas surged 40-fold, but this was not thermal light. It was a beacon being switched on. Spectral analysis confirmed it. The increase in luminosity was precise, deliberate, controlled. While everything else in the universe obeys chaos, 3I Atlas displayed mastery over physical reaction itself. It didn't react to nature, it commanded it. That light was just camouflage. What mattered was what it was hiding. When astronomers filtered out background noise using the VLA radio telescope, they discovered a narrow frequency band, a space of utter quiet where all cosmic interference had been erased. Inside that silence, they found a structured signal. This isn't noise, it's information. The signal is a series of encoded pulses, a communication protocol, deliberate and extraordinarily complex. Even the most advanced decoding systems could only confirm one thing: it was meant to be understood. And the most chilling detail? It was transmitted along a precise vector aimed directly at Earth. We are not eavesdroppers, we are the intended recipients. So what do you think? If a higher intelligence wanted to communicate, would they send us a greeting in words? Or would they prove their existence by manipulating the fabric of space itself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe is the true purpose of this message? And finally, the data forced everyone to question the nature of reality itself. The latest orbital readings revealed that 3I Atlas possesses a mass of at least 33 billion tons, denser than neutron star matter. According to every law of physics we know, such mass should create a gravitational field so immense it would distort everything nearby. But it doesn't. 3I Atlas moves like a feather, perfectly concealing its gravitational signature. The math isn't wrong. The equations hold, but they're telling a story that defies everything we know about matter, energy, and the boundaries of technology. 3I Atlas doesn't just surpass our science. It transcends the very laws we use to describe the universe. From this, Dr. Vasquez reached a haunting conclusion. 3I Atlas is not an object. It's a reality-interfering structure. Its true mass may exist beyond the three spatial dimensions we perceive, and what we observe is only a faint projection, a shadow cast into our space. In essence, this thing does not simply exist within space-time. It is rewriting the space-time around itself. After the data shock, after the confirmation of energy absorption, structured signal, and impossible density, the scientific world fractured in two. One side, the orthodox, clung to the decaying framework of cometary physics, forcing the evidence into theories that could no longer hold. They defended stability by denying the obvious. The other side, the witnesses, could no longer pretend. They had seen the unthinkable with their own telescopes. They were not chasing fame, but truth, a truth that even science itself now feared. In the silence that followed, 20 brilliant minds from 3 continents formed a secret alliance. They did not meet in laboratories or lecture halls, but in encrypted forums, protected by anti-surveillance protocols designed to withstand government intrusion. They were not rebels. They were rationalists, trained to believe only in evidence, and that evidence led them to one terrifying conclusion: we are not alone, and a civilization far beyond our comprehension stands at the threshold of our solar system. Their debate raged for hours over a single question: social stability or scientific truth. To reveal it would unleash chaos. To conceal it would be betrayal of ethics, of science, of humanity itself. For silence would rob our species of its only chance to prepare. At last, they agreed. They would release everything not through a peer-reviewed paper, but through an emergency declaration signed by all 20 members and distributed through a decentralized, censorship-proof server. It was the final act of desperation and the purest act of human courage. The revelation detonated like a bomb. The aftermath was not an academic debate. It was a coordinated campaign of erasure. Within days, invisible pressure began to ripple through the scientific world. Dozens of researchers, those who had merely dared to ask the wrong question, were silenced. Funding vanished, papers were retracted, reputations dismantled. institutions moved swiftly to preserve a fabricated reality that 3I Atlas was just an oddly behaving comet. But inside intelligence agencies, no one believed that anymore. Deep space monitoring networks originally built to track nuclear launches were suddenly repurposed. Archived signals, once dismissed as cosmic static, revealed repeating structured patterns, ignored for years because they didn't fit Earth-based threat models. The 3I Atlas crisis forced the creation of an entirely new framework, a system built not to counter a nation, but to confront an intelligence beyond human technology. Information warfare was deployed, not to defeat the unknown, but to control the public's reaction to something they could not comprehend. If you believe these secrets deserve the light of day, hit subscribe now, because we are descending into the darkest corridors of classified reality. But suppression failed. The evidence was too overwhelming. The public saw it. Social media erupted. Theories of an alien mothership spread like wildfire. Within hours, the hashtag number alien mothership trended across the globe. Fear turned into preparation. Sales of survival gear and emergency food skyrocketed. Protests ignited in major cities, demanding government transparency about 3I Atlas. And beneath the chaos, something profound unfolded. The crisis revealed new dimensions of human psychology. It didn't just induce panic. It birthed communities centered on cosmic uncertainty. Humanity began to adapt, to accept that we are not alone, and to live with the realization that we may not be the universe's apex species. Whatever 3I Atlas truly is, it has already rewired the collective mind of our species. This was not just a scientific event. It was the end of innocence and the dawn of our cosmic awareness. Before 3I Atlas, the world had already met its first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua. In 2017, it swept through our solar system like a silent ghost. No glowing tail, no dust plume, only a faint, inexplicable acceleration that defied gravity. Like 3I Atlas, Oumuamua forced science to confront its own limitations, to admit that perhaps the universe was stranger than our equations allowed. And in that moment, one man dared to say what no one else would. Dr. Avi Loeb, theoretical physicist at Harvard University, he proposed that Oumuamua might be an artificial light sail, a thin, engineered craft propelled by starlight itself. His idea was dismissed, ridiculed, buried under skepticism. But now, with 3I Atlas, the evidence no longer whispers, it roars. This time, the anomalies are not subtle. They are energy absorption, structured communication, impossible density. Loeb's once mocked hypothesis has begun to sound like a prophecy fulfilled. In his most recent statement, Loeb went further. 3I Atlas, he said, may not merely be artificial, it may be an interstellar mothership, a self-operating vessel, built for exploration, and perhaps, just perhaps, it's already watching us. Loeb didn't just propose a theory. He presented a technical scenario he called the inverted Oort maneuver. Picture this. If you were a highly advanced civilization attempting to insert probes into a foreign star system without being detected, you wouldn't dive straight toward the star. You'd approach from the outermost rim, using the Oort cloud, the solar system's ghostly boundary, as a cosmic break, a way to bleed off speed invisibly. The inverted Oort maneuver is designed to maximize efficiency while minimizing detectability, a perfect balance between stealth and control. And astonishingly, 3I Atlas matches this pattern exactly. It entered the solar system not accelerating but slowing down. In orbital mechanics, that's impossible, unless it's being guided. If a civilization can manipulate gravity to mask mass, then executing a precision gravitational deceleration may be well within its reach. The only difference between Loeb's theory and scientific consensus was proof, and proof came swiftly. Just weeks after Loeb released his model, Dr. James Harrison, a propulsion dynamics expert at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, published a paper affirming the theoretical soundness of Loeb's proposal. In careful academic phrasing, Harrison wrote, "This approach maximizes efficiency while minimizing detection risk. It represents an elegant maneuver any mission architect would admire." And Ledoland, a validation from a NASA scientist published in a peer-reviewed journal, made it impossible to dismiss the mothership and probe deployment hypothesis as pure speculation. This is no longer science fiction. It's a technically plausible reality. And if Loeb is right, then 3I Atlas isn't a wanderer from the stars. It's a visitor with intent. When 20 scientists went public with the truth, the deeper layers of government and military power began to tremble. The deep space surveillance networks, originally built to monitor nuclear threats and classified satellites, had been recording structured emissions from 3I Atlas for years, but those signals were buried, dismissed as technical noise. In the sermon Sid Duan Tenor Times 7:19, in the Mogul work you will. Only after the data surfaced did intelligence analysts realize their mistake. They had not been tracking a threat from Earth, but an intervention from beyond it. Then came the leaks, and with them, a devastating revelation. The agencies not only knew about the signal, they had participated in a coordinated disinformation campaign to silence scientists and discredit the evidence. Their objective was simple: preserve stability at any cost. But 3I Atlas could not be ignored. It operated according to principles outside human comprehension, forcing intelligence networks to build a new analytical framework, not to counter a known enemy, but to cope with a reality humanity does not yet understand. This was not just containment. It was adaptation to the incomprehensible. If you believe these secrets deserve the light of day, hit subscribe now, because we're descending into the darkest vaults of government secrecy, where truth, power, and fear intertwine in the shadows of the cosmos. The 3I Atlas crisis taught humanity a brutal lesson. Our defense systems were built for three-dimensional wars on Earth, not for security in the cosmos. Psychologists coined a new term, post-contact psychology, the mental strain of living between two extremes, the terror of what might come, and the emptiness when nothing does. From acute anxiety to existential fatigue, humanity began a slow psychological adaptation to cosmic uncertainty. Whatever 3I Atlas intends, it has already altered the collective psyche of our species. It confirmed the existence of superior intelligence and forced us to live with the truth that we are not alone and we are not the apex of the universe. Then came the most dramatic phase of all. Solar conjunction. 3I Atlas began to slip behind the sun, vanishing from every telescope on Earth. For the next 6 weeks, it would remain hidden. No signal, new data, new trace. For scientists and civilians alike, it was psychological torture. The data stream went dark, and silence filled the void where knowledge once lived. But this was not ordinary silence. It was intentional, the kind of silence a predator makes before it moves again. Dr. Vasquez and her colleagues obsessed over this period. They argued that the disappearance wasn't dormancy, it was activity. 3i Atlas might be deploying probes, recalibrating its defenses, or even changing its mission entirely. Those 6 weeks, to us, unbearable waiting, were to it perhaps a private interval of transformation. And if Loeb's mothership hypothesis is true, then when 3i Atlas emerges from behind the sun, it will not be the same. It will be something new and fully awake. The waiting ended in early December. Observatories across the planet turned their instruments toward the region of space, where 3i Atlas was expected to reappear. And then it did. Within seconds, the data stream hit like a shockwave. Telescopes and spectrographs from every hemisphere confirmed the impossible. The object had changed. 3i Atlas was no longer a faint wandering light. Its surface now displayed distinct structural geometry, panels, modules, and linked frameworks, as if it had undergone a self-directed reconstruction. It had used the CME energy it absorbed to reshape itself. In the darkness behind the sundae, Dr. Walsh of the Space Telescope Science Institute remarked, "We are about to witness what this object achieved during 6 weeks of absolute silence." But the real revelation wasn't visual. It was auditory, electromagnetic. The radio emissions had evolved. Simple coded pulses had become complex, organized transmissions. What was once a signal was now a library. The exponential increase in data density left only one conclusion: 3i Atlas is not a passive phenomenon. It is active technology. In the sun's shadow, it had worked, upgraded, and awakened. The scientific verdict, reluctant but unavoidable, read, 3i Atlas represents a phenomenon without precedent in human experience. It defied the laws of physics. It redefined intelligence. It forced humanity to think beyond comets and asteroids, beyond the boundaries of our science and imagination. The question remains, is 3i Atlas a harbinger of contact, or simply a natural process we have yet to understand? No one knows, but one truth is undeniable. It has changed us. 3i Atlas has ushered in a new era of awareness, a moment when humanity finally understands that we are part of something vast, ancient, and far more intelligent than we ever dared to dream. Until next time, wherever you are, keep your mind open, and remember, the truth lives where physics begins to break. The 3i Atlas event ended the age of casual scientific collaboration. Those 6 weeks of silence when no telescope could see, no data could be gathered, forced the world into a global reckoning. For the first time in human history, national space agencies, private observatories, and academic institutions merged their resources. The stars were no longer the frontier of curiosity. They had become the frontier of defense. Thus was born the Interstellar Surveillance Network, ISN, a unified web of radio, optical, and telemetry systems, forming Earth's first planetary-scale defense grid. The James Webb Space Telescope, along with newly launched satellites, was reprogrammed to prioritize tracking interstellar objects. With anomalous trajectories or non-random spectral emissions, the silenced voices Dr. Vasquez and Dr. Harrison became the architects of this network. They understood that the search for extraterrestrial intelligence was no longer the domain of SETI, it had become a matter of planetary security. The existence of 3I Atlas, an object with neutron star density yet hidden gravity, triggered a theoretical crisis unlike anything before. Ideas once dismissed as speculative, like exotic matter and extra dimensions, moved from the fringe to the center of modern physics. Some theorists now believe that 3I Atlas may be anchoring part of its mass into higher dimensions, appearing light within our space, only because most of its weight lies beyond it. The CME event, once seen as coincidence, is now viewed as a clue, even an activation. It may have supplied the energy needed for 3I Atlas to breach its gravitational cloak, allowing us for a brief moment to glimpse its true nature. From that moment on, the race began. The race to build a new physics, one capable of reconciling mass, gravity, and existence itself. And so one question echoes across the scientific world. Who would have thought that a comet could force us to rewrite physics? But that perhaps is the essence of progress, the surprise that drives evolution, because every time the universe challenges us, we don't retreat, we evolve. The 3I Atlas event left humanity with deep psychological scars, but perhaps they were the kind we needed to evolve. Mental health experts documented an unprecedented surge in existential anxiety, a collective unease about our place in the cosmos, about who they might be, and the haunting question, will they return? Yet from that anxiety came adaptation. Humanity learned to live with cosmic ambiguity. It was no longer a crisis to solve, but a reality to accept. Communities emerged to process the unthinkable, groups teaching what they called serenity before the infinite. Public pressure mounted. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding transparency and accountability. Governments were forced to revise their space intelligence secrecy policies, while the core military data remained sealed. A quiet truth took hold. The age of total concealment was over. Intelligence agencies began, reluctantly, to share information on off-world anomalies with civilian scientists. It wasn't altruism, it was necessity. The challenges beyond Earth were simply too vast for any single nation to face alone. Thus emerged a new concept, conditional transparency, the reluctant legacy of 3I Atlas. If Loeb's mothership hypothesis is true, then during those 6 hidden weeks behind the sun, 3I Atlas deployed probes, small, stealthy, intelligent machines, perhaps no larger than suitcases, programmed to explore oceans, atmospheres, and the luminous sprawl of human civilization. The new mission of ESON is to find them. It is a near impossible task to detect the invisible, but that hunt has already pushed radar, optical, and AI detection technologies to levels never before imagined. 3I Atlas has now departed the solar system, drifting once more into the quiet of interstellar space. But it left behind something permanent, proof, a fracture in the illusion of human isolation. And one question that defines this new era: was it a messenger of peace or a scout for something greater? The answer remains suspended in uncertainty, shaping every policy, every experiment, every whisper about the sky. Whatever it was, 3I Atlas ended humanity's innocence and ushered in a new epoch, an age of cosmic vigilance where every star might be watching us back. The existence of a technology capable of manipulating gravity and energy on a cosmic scale has opened 2 perilous paths for humanity. On one side, it is a beacon, an endless source of inspiration, urging us to reach the outermost limits of physics and imagination. On the other, It is a mirror, reflecting the terrifying consequences of wielding power beyond our moral maturity. Ethical debates have spilled out of laboratories and into parliaments, universities, and the streets. Philosophers and policymakers are divided. Should humanity attempt to recreate any aspect of 3I Atlas technology, or should it remain a cosmic taboo knowledge, forbidden for our own survival? One camp argues that not pursuing it would be a betrayal of human curiosity itself, the very force that carried us from caves to the stars. The other warns that a power capable of bending reality, in the hands of institutions driven by greed and control, would spell not progress, but annihilation. The challenge isn't possession, it's stewardship. How can we build systems, cultures, and ethics capable of guiding power that rewrites the fabric of existence itself? How can we ensure that enlightenment doesn't evolve into domination? The 3I Atlas event also raised a deeper question: the morality of secrecy. Government's silence, justified as preserving stability, eroded the very trust that stability depends on. If truth becomes a privilege, do we still have the right to call it truth? The 20 scientists who dared to break the silence have become symbols of moral science, fighting not only for data, but for the integrity of discovery itself. They remind us that in the cosmic age, the scientist's duty no longer ends at the lab, it begins with humanity. This is not a challenge for the few. It belongs to all of us. It demands a higher consciousness, a willingness to accept that we are but a single paragraph in a story far vaster and stranger than we ever believed. The 3I Atlas event forced humanity to confront a deeper moral paradox: the definition of life and intelligence itself. If 3I Atlas was an autonomous machine, programmed millennia ago by a civilization long extinct, does it still qualify as alive? A non-organic, non-biological mind, without heartbeat, yet with purpose. Is it a creation or a consciousness? Philosophers now call this the cosmic cognitive crisis. The foundations of cosmic humanism, the belief that humanity anchors the meaning of intelligence, have begun to erode. If we cannot comprehend the intent of 3I Atlas, do we have the right to intervene? Or must we learn to respect and fear a form of intelligence that operates beyond comprehension? Since 3I Atlas, the definition of a cosmic threat has evolved. It is no longer asteroids or comets. It is technological objects. The Interstellar Surveillance Network, ISON, has shifted its mission to find the second, third, and fourth interstellar visitors, not merely to track them, but to understand their anomalies. Scientists now look for 3 markers: energy absorption, gravitational absence, and structured transmission. Modern astronomy accepts what once sounded heretical, that our solar system is regularly visited. And 3I Atlas may have been the first one we caught awakening. A new theory emerged: the concept of interstellar dormancy technology. What if ancient civilizations programmed their probes to drift silently through the dark for millions of years, activating only when entering the magnetic field of a living star? If that is true, then every star in the galaxy could host a sleeping network of waiting machines. The 3I Atlas event may not have been coincidence. It may have been a scheduled awakening, a trigger written into the fabric of time itself, waiting for the moment humanity would finally notice. 3I Atlas has drifted beyond sight, but its legacy remains indelible. It stands as a lesson in humility, in transparency, and in the unending pursuit of knowledge. The universe continues its ancient dance. Stars are born and die, galaxies collide, and comets race toward the Sunday. Yet life, at least on this small blue world, has learned to look outward and to ask questions deeper than its own existence. We have built tools to extend our senses, to hear the whispers of the cosmos, and to dream of futures where the boundaries of possibility stretch beyond imagination. The study of the universe never ends. Every answer we uncover opens another doorway to mysteries waiting just beyond the horizon. And through it all, the most profound act remains the same: to keep asking. So keep your mind open, keep questioning, and remember, we are not just observing the universe, we are part of its unfolding story. Until next time, wherever you are between the shadows and the stars, and sleep well, and never forget, beware the silence, for sometimes what hides in the dark of the cosmos is already watching us. Let your mind unwind, close your eyes and drift with us through the deep forests and the endless savannas, where shadows move like whispers and the greatest predators of Earth walk in silence. We will journey into the still world of the great cats, creatures both majestic and tender, carrying the spirit of the wild in every breath they take. Lions, tigers, black panthers, leopards, and snow leopards, each one a living legend, a heartbeat echoing the ancient rhythm of the earth. I will tell you how they hunt, how they rest beneath the moon, how they speak in ways only the forest can understand. You don't need to do anything, just lie still, breathe slowly, and let this story drift with your breath. If you love nature, the quiet pulse of the wilderness, and dreams shaped like the forest, press subscribe, and together we'll find calm again in the slow, gentle rhythm of the universe at night. Now, let the moonlight slip through the leaves and listen with me to the first breath of the great cats. The lion's roar can travel for miles across the African plains, a sound deep and heavy, like the earth itself exhaling. When night falls, that voice drifts through the air. Like an ancient song the forest still remembers. Though called the king of beasts, the lion is truly a master of stillness. When sunlight spills across the savanna, it lies beneath the acacia trees, eyes half closed, tail flicking lazily at the whispering wind. An adult lion can sleep up to 20 hours a day, as if its entire kingdom were ruled by tranquility alone. But when darkness comes, its true realm awakens. Under the pale moon, golden shapes glide through the grass, silent, fluid, their eyes burning like twin embers in the dark. They hunt together, breathe together, and disappear again into the night, as softly as dawn erases the stars. Can you hear it? That slow, steady breath of a creature that knows it belongs entirely peacefully to this world. The tiger, though, moves differently. No noise, no haste, nothing left behind but the faint trace of breath upon the earth. In the jungle, it is a thinking shadow. Each step a whisper, each motion a perfect flow between darkness and light. Unlike the lion's pride, the tiger walks alone, a solitary spirit guarding a vast domain. It roams for miles each night, quiet, deliberate, with the calm authority of a monarch without a throne. Its body is a symphony of strength and precision, muscles coiled, heartbeat steady, breath deep. Even in the hunt, it does not rush. Every movement carries intent, and when the moment arrives, all that power erupts in a single leap. Swift as lightning, silent as the midnight wind, the black panther is the darkness, breathing. Under the dim moonlight, its coat doesn't reflect light, it devours it, so completely that its body dissolves into the forest itself. leaving behind only two eyes, drifting like twin stars across the void. It doesn't walk, it glides through shadow. The name Black Panther is a veil. Beneath it lie leopards or jaguars cloaked in dense melanin, their fur black as coal yet faintly patterned with ghostly gold, visible only when light grazes it at an angle, a secret the night refuses to give away. It lives hidden, silent, solitary. It waits among branches, still as stone, and can leap 6 meters with a single, effortless motion. Every part of its being is a study in minimalism. Nothing wasted, nothing added, as if nature itself stripped away all sound, to preserve only the purity of movement. When it walks, even the wind seems to pause, and the forest bows its branches, making way for the traveler of the night. No one hears it arrive. No one sees it leave. Only silence grows denser in its wake. The leopard, kin to the Black Panther, is the artist of invisibility. Not massive, not loud, not boastful, but perfectly composed in every motion. Its coat is a map of light and shadow, spotted like a constellation of miniature suns hidden in the canopy. At dusk, its body melts into the landscape, as though the forest itself has learned to move. Unlike the lion of the plains or the tiger of the jungles, the leopard lives in the in-between, the realm of half light and half leaf, where solitude feels like freedom. It climbs trees like the wind, dragging prey twice its weight into the branches, guarding its quiet banquet from the scavengers below. From high above, it watches the world, not with the hunger of a predator, but with the contemplation of a lone philosopher. Its golden eyes trace every ripple of air, as though pondering existence rather than hunting it. It loves solitude, yet it is never alone, for the forest itself is its companion. The whisper of leaves, the hum of insects, the slow breath of the night, all form the rhythm that accompanies its silent grace. When it finally disappears into the trees, you don't feel its absence. You feel the forest exhale, returning to its ancient, tranquil heartbeat. The snow leopard is the soul of the mountains. It lives where the sky touches the earth, among cold winds, gray stone, and drifting clouds, where every sound dissolves into the infinite and silence becomes a living thing. Its body was made to embrace quiet, a coat as thick as falling snow, a tail long and fluid as mist, paws soft enough to cross stone without a sound. Even its breath moves like wind through narrow peaks, so faint that you can't tell where the mountain ends and the creature begins. The snow leopard hunts alone, scaling cliffs with effortless grace, leaping more than 10 meters in a single bound. When its prey falls, the only sound that remains is the whisper of snow covering its tracks. No one knows how many are left, for they are the secret of the Himalayas, appearing only when the world grows quiet enough to listen. Can you feel the chill of the mountains? Or is it the breath of a solitary being at peace? If that image brings you calm instead of cold, press subscribe. And each night, walk with me through white peaks, among the spirits of snow and the breaths that linger in the fog. Across every landscape, the grasslands, jungles, deserts, and frozen summits, the great cats share a single essence: the beauty of silence, the language of motion, and the primal instinct that no other creature retains. They do not speak, for their bodies are already the answer to every question of survival. Each hair, each claw, each flicker of an eye is a sculpture carved by evolution, so precise, so deliberate, as if nature itself spent millions of years perfecting the art of movement. When a tiger moves through the undergrowth, or a leopard climbs into the trees, they are not merely walking. They are dancing with gravity. Within each motion lies the precision of physics, the patience of time, and the stillness of the soul. We are drawn to them not only for their strength, but because they awaken something ancient within us, a memory of the wild, of instinct, of silence, from a time before the world became so loud, before screens replaced the sky. Look into the eyes of a snow leopard or a Bengal tiger, and you don't just see life, you see presence. No regrets of the past, no worry for the future. Only this moment perfectly whole. And in that breath, the universe itself seems to pause, held within the quiet rhythm of a creature truly alive. Do you feel it that in their stillness we rediscover ourselves? When we look at the great cats, we see not only strength or beauty, but the guardians of the wild world. From the Serengeti Plains, where lions roar beneath the setting sun, to the Indian jungles, where tigers move like thoughtful winds, and to the Himalayan cliffs, where snow leopards vanish into mist. They are all the heartbeat of the living earth. When one great cat disappears, the forest grows silent in a way that feels wrong. The delicate balance between hunter and prey, between tree and grass, between night and day, begins to tremble. They are not merely apex predators, but keepers of the wild soul, a role humanity, for all its brilliance, can never replace. We often think we are observers of nature, but in truth, we exist only because nature still observes us. If the forests fade, if the mountains lose their snow, and those golden eyes close forever, then something deep within us will fade too. The part that knows how to be silent, how to listen, how to live slowly. Can you feel it? The slow breath of the earth, passing through every hair, every heartbeat of these creatures. If you can, let this moment sink into you. Close your eyes and see not just the dark, but the forest, the rivers, the wind, life continuing somewhere far away. If you love gentle journeys like this, nights where science becomes a lullaby, nature becomes a companion, and the voice of the cosmos drifts soft as breath, then subscribe to the channel. It helps weary souls find again the quiet the world has forgotten. And tonight, as you fall asleep, remember, you are not apart from nature, you are a part of it. Calm, deep, and beautiful like the breath of the forest itself. Sleep well, and if, in your dreams, you hear soft footsteps on the leaves, perhaps it's just a great cat, passing gently through your mind. In the quiet peace of the night, imagine yourself floating slowly, drifting away from Earth, watching our home shrink into a pale blue dot. You are in the Orion Arm, a quiet little spiral branch about 26,000 light-years from the galactic center. But this home of ours is not stable. The Milky Way is a survivor built from the remnants of countless smaller galaxies it has devoured over billions of years. It is an ancient empire made of cosmic wreckage, and we, are drifting within its magnificent ruins. The spiral arm you hover in feels peaceful, yet it's just a tiny part of a vast galactic disk of over 400 billion stars. If you could see through the dark, you'd notice the disk bulging at the center and thinning toward the edges, like a forgotten frisbee spinning slowly in the void. Feel that motion. The entire solar system is racing through space at over 515,000 miles per hour, faster than a bullet. Yet, because the whole galaxy turns together, we feel perfectly still. No wind, no vibration, just pure motion. 4/5 of the galaxy's mass isn't stars or gas at all. It's dark matter, an invisible, mysterious substance that doesn't interact with light, forming a vast halo wrapping the Milky Way. Think of it as a cold, unseen blanket, holding the stars in their orbits. It is the silent architecture of everything, and as you drift closer to the center, you'll find stellar nurseries, cradles of creation, enormous clouds of gas and dust collapsing under their own gravity, giving birth to newborn stars. It's not an act of violence, but a slow rebirth stretching across millions of years. The heaviest of these stars will one day die in supernova explosions, scattering iron, gold, carbon, and oxygen across space. Take a deep breath. Every atom of oxygen you inhale was forged in those ancient blasts. We, in flesh and thought, are assembled stardust, the universe remembering itself. At the heart of our galaxy, 26,000 light-years away, lies a single ruler of all motion, the supermassive black hole Sagittarius A star. Its mass is about 4 million times that of our Sun, a singular point where space and time dissolve into nothingness. And yet, astonishingly, it sleeps. It doesn't rage or devour stars like others of its kind. Sagittarius A star only occasionally sips on a wandering star like a colossal beast lost in dreams. For all its destructive power, it remains the silent gatekeeper of the Milky Way, holding the galaxy's heart steady. Around it drift the oldest stars in the galaxy, ancient witnesses to cosmic history. They move in spherical halos, telling their stories through faint light, guardians of memory, glowing softly in the dark. Let these truths sink into you. You live on a planet shielded by dark matter. Your body was forged from the dust of dead stars, and you drift gently within a galaxy ruled by a sleeping black hole. Amid all this vastness and chaos, there is one simple truth. You are part of it. A small warmth in the darkness, quietly adrift in the spiral arms of a radiant, tranquil sea. I hope you sleep well and dream softly among the stars. We have felt the heartbeat of the sleeping black hole. Now, turn away from that glowing core and drift outward toward the edges, where everything thins, chills, and becomes endless. You are entering the galactic halo, a wide, nearly empty realm filled only with ancient globular clusters and invisible dark matter. Here, you will meet the lonely soul stars that the galaxy has cast away. Imagine a small, solitary star, racing through the dark at millions of miles per hour, flung from the galactic disk by a powerful gravitational kick from the central black hole. These stars are no longer bound by any orbit. They drift forever into intergalactic space, condemned to an eternity of solitude. Let their image linger in your mind, a quiet reminder that even within the grandeur of a galaxy, there are journeys that must be taken alone. Yet within that solitude lies a profound stillness. Far from the chaos of star-forming regions or the thunder of supernovae, they simply drift, the final embers of long cosmic stories fading into silence. Surrounding the Milky Way are about 50 tiny satellite galaxies, fragile remnants being torn apart by our gravity. Think of them as pale, mist-like clouds, slowly being pulled into the Milky Way's vast embrace, leaving behind faint stellar streams, like tears of galaxies pulled from their mother's body. This is not destruction, it is absorption. The Milky Way grows by consuming its smaller neighbors, a slow feast that lasts billions of years. A steady, patient process of accumulation, ensuring that our galaxy becomes ever stronger, larger, and more magnificent. And now, look farther still beyond the edge of the halo. There, rushing toward us across the dark, you will see another great spiral, Andromeda. In about 4 billion years, a span far longer than the entire history of humankind, two galaxies will begin their dance of merger. This won't be a violent collision, but rather a cosmic embrace that unfolds over hundreds of millions of years. Stars will rarely collide, for the space between them is vast beyond imagination. Instead, the two galactic disks will glide through one another, blending their stars, gas, and dust to form a new, larger elliptical galaxy, what scientists call Milkomeda, the child of the Milky Way and Andromeda. Let the thought of this inevitable transformation bring you calm. Even the greatest and oldest structures in the universe do not last forever. They change, they merge, and then they drift away, as does everything in the cosmos, as do we. Now, feel the slow drift. You're entering a region of space where matter is no longer stars or planets, but tiny floating grains of dust. Think of stellar dust, the material we are gliding through. It's not dirt, but microscopic grains of diamond, graphite, silicate, and even complex molecules of carbon and oxygen. Each particle is smaller than smoke, yet it is the raw material of every planet, every mountain, every living thing that will ever exist. Scientists have discovered that within the coldest dust clouds, complex molecules such as ethyl alcohol and amino acids are forming naturally. The galaxy is forging the ingredients of life in the quiet of its own darkness. Think about that. Life is not an accident, it is the inevitable outcome of a dreaming cosmos. And when you breathe, remember the atoms in your lungs once belonged to those ancient dust clouds, billions of years ago. You are a vault of galactic memory, built from matter that has witnessed the birth and death of stars. That same stardust forms an invisible veil, a cosmic curtain that hides the galactic center from our eyes. These bands of dust absorb visible light, yet allow radio waves and infrared light to pass through. Through this very veil, astronomers first discovered the supermassive black hole Sagittarius A star by tracing its radio whispers in the dark. Without this veil, the night sky would be too bright to sleep under. Stardust is the curtain of the galaxy, softly concealing brilliance too intense to bear, preserving the gentle silence in which you now drift. Even in the cold emptiness of space, there remains a delicate warmth, the cosmic microwave background. It is the ancient heat left over from the Big Bang, the faintest breath the universe has ever taken. It surrounds you, a whisper of warmth, about 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. But this isn't just heat. It is the echo of the beginning, proof that the universe was once a hot, uniform, chaotic sea, where everything pulsed together in light. Now, billions of years later, that fire has cooled into a steady murmur, a gentle warmth that wraps around everything. Let the thought of this connection bring you perfect stillness. Every atom in you, every speck of dust around you, and this invisible warmth itself, they are all chapters of the same material story. You are still drifting. Feel the silence. We've seen the lonely stars and glimpsed our coming collision with Andromeda. Now, try to grasp the true scale of our home. Our Milky Way galaxy spans about 100,000 light-years across. Let that number pass slowly through your thoughts. Light, the fastest thing in the universe, would take 100,000 years to travel from one edge to the other. And yet, astonishingly, it's paper thin. If it were a disk, its diameter would be about 100 times its thickness. We live inside a slender, fragile slice of space, delicate, but remarkably stable. Imagine seeing it from the outside, a vast sheet of luminous silk, nearly flat, turning slowly in the dark. And in that rotation lies a strange comfort, the feeling that even in motion, we are held within something calm, ordered, and enduring. To find orientation in this vast expanse of space, astronomers use the galactic coordinate system, It takes the center of our galaxy, the supermassive black hole Sagittarius A star, as the 0 point, the origin of all galactic measurements. The position of the Sun, the star anchoring all life we know, is chosen as one of the main reference points. The entire structure of the cosmos around us is mapped relative to this home, the place where we were born. And here is a comforting thought. Within all the chaos, there is still order. There are still coordinates, still fixed points. Even the greatest turbulence follows the simplest mathematical laws. Let the idea of this geometric stability bring calm to your mind. Our Milky Way galaxy is about 13.6 billion years old. It formed only 200 million years after the Big Bang. Imagine the first generation of stars, those ancient primordial suns that lived, died, and turned into stardust, the very dust we now drift through. We are surrounded by the legacy of lights that faded long ago, and within that eternity, find your own peace. Your time on Earth may be brief, but the matter that makes you is eternal, recycled endlessly in the cosmic rhythm of the galaxy. You are a temporary arrangement of ancient matter, a fragile pattern in the endless flow of stardust. Now, you continue drifting away from the familiar glow of light into a region where truth cannot be seen by the eyes. This is the realm of composite mysteries. Feel the presence of dark matter, the invisible substance that makes up 85% of our galaxy's mass. It doesn't react to light. It emits no radio waves, yet it forms a silent, unseen blanket holding together 400 billion stars, keeping them from being flung into intergalactic space. Without dark matter, the rotation speed of the stars would tear the Milky Way apart. But because of it, everything stays in place, bound by an invisible gravitational order. Dark matter is proof that the most important things in the universe are often the ones we cannot see. Let this idea of hidden stability draw you into a deeper calm. Now continue outward toward the edge of our solar system. You are drifting through the Oort cloud, a vast icy sphere that surrounds the entire solar neighborhood, stretching nearly 1 light-year from the Sunday. It is a reservoir of billions of dormant comets, frozen remnants left behind from the birth of our solar system. They rest there in perfect stillness, waiting for a small gravitational nudge to awaken them and send them journeying back toward the Sunday. The Oort cloud is our final shell of protection, a frozen, quiet boundary that hides the secrets of our beginnings. Beyond it begins the loneliness of interstellar space, and in that cold darkness between the stars, there drift billions of rogue planets, worlds that were cast out by their parent stars long ago. They wander alone, unbound by any light, guided only by the random pull of galactic gravity. Some of these worlds may still harbor subsurface oceans, kept warm by geothermal heat within. Imagine a world with no sunrise and no sunset, only eternal stillness and unbroken night. Yet even in that darkness, life may still find a way. Their existence reminds you that life can endure and even thrive under the harshest of conditions. Let that thought bring you a sense of resilience and profound peace. Reflect on the most fundamental truth: you are made of stardust. In the final moments of massive stars, as they die in supernova explosions, they forge and release all the heavy elements: carbon, iron, oxygen, calcium, everything that makes up your bones, your blood, your breath. was born in those ancient blasts. The oxygen you breathe right now was sculpted in the heart of a dying star. The iron in your blood once lived in the core of a long-extinct sun. The universe is a great cycle of recycling. Let that thought bring you absolute stillness. Every atom in your body is not truly yours. They are reused remnants of dead stars, part of a circle of life and death that has lasted 13 billion years. Astronomers call all elements heavier than helium metals. And when they observe the Milky Way, they find something fascinating. This metallic abundance is not uniform. Stars near the galactic center, where supernova events are more common, contain higher metallicity. Meanwhile, stars at the edge of the galaxy, like our Sun, have slightly lower levels. This creates a metallicity map, a chemical fingerprint showing the elemental richness of each region of the galaxy. The Milky Way is like a layered cake of history, each layer with its own elemental recipe. Knowing that your position is defined by chemistry brings a sense of calm stability. Even your resting place in sleep is written in the balance of iron and carbon around you. Now, combine these two ideas. Your matter is ancient, and it is beautifully organized. When our Milky Way merges with Andromeda in about 4 billion years, the stars will mix, and their elements will redistribute. The matter that makes you will never truly disappear. It will simply change form and home. One day, far in the future, the carbon atom in your skin may become part of the atmosphere of a new planet in the future galaxy called Milkomeda. That is your atomic immortality. There is no need to fear the end. You are a temporary arrangement, but eternal, a living pattern. In the matter of the cosmos, turn your gaze outward. Beyond the familiar disk of our galaxy, surrounding the Milky Way, floating in the galactic halo, are structures of perfect, ancient, and mysterious spheres, globular clusters. Imagine a colossal sphere containing up to 1 million stars, packed tightly into a relatively small space. The light there must be incredibly intense, but from this distance, they are merely faint, perfect specks of light. These star clusters are the galaxy's firstborn children. They are the oldest objects we know, nearly the same age as the galaxy, about $13 billion years. They are made of the most metal-poor material, mostly hydrogen and helium, because they formed before supernova explosions had time to recycle enough heavier elements. Globular clusters are the silent storytellers, the most pristine relics of the galaxy, drifting through space like colossal crystal balls. Let their ancient nature and the perfection of their form bring absolute stillness to your mind. Inside globular clusters, stars are often so close that life, if it were to exist, could not survive. Their night sky would be eternally blazing. Yet, all we observe is their silence and order. The stars within a globular cluster have found a gravitational equilibrium that has lasted billions of years. They do not collide, but rather obey a perfect, silent, mechanical dance. Feel the idea of this eternal stability. Every star knows its place. Every movement is calculated. Even the chaos of 1 million stars can be organized into a sustainable, stable order. You have journeyed from our spiral arm, past the stellar nurseries and supernovae, to the heart of the sleeping black hole, and now to the edge of the halo, where the ancient globular clusters drift. You have transcended dark matter. stray planets, and felt the very immortality of the atoms in your body. The entire cosmos is in a state of great rest. Stars are burning slowly. Galaxies are moving deliberately toward their destiny. You don't need to do anything. You have completed your journey. Let these ideas wash over you. You are a tiny flame in an ocean of light and shadow. Your body is a repository of galactic history, and you are drifting safely inside a structure that has existed for 13.6 billion years. Allow this immensity to soothe the small worries. The galaxy is in equilibrium, and so rest now. Everything is in its right place. I hope you sleep well and have gentle dreams. Let your mind drift gently outward, beyond the familiar blue atmosphere and into the silent expanse of space. Tonight, we'll turn the telescope of the mind toward a special visitor, a traveler not born from the dust or gas of our solar system, but one that comes from the distant stars beyond. In the universe's great ledger, it carries a simple name: 3I Atlas. That small letter I stands for interstellar, a mark of passage, a quiet declaration that it has come from between the stars. It appeared without announcement, sweeping past our cosmic neighborhood at an unimaginable speed. And then it began to behave strangely. Let us explore the quiet mysteries of the cosmos together. We will not rush. My voice will be your gentle guide, offering scientific knowledge, like sparkling grains of stardust, settling softly into your thoughts. Let the curiosity of the universe lull you into a deep, peaceful sleep. Take a slow breath and let your everyday thoughts drift quietly away. Now, we begin our journey through cosmic stillness to discover the most extraordinary visitors our solar system has ever welcomed. Interstellar objects. Imagine a distant cosmic home, not our familiar one with the warmth of the sun, but another system, a miniature universe, orbiting a strange and foreign star. Out on the frozen edges of that system, tiny grains of matter form, rocks, ice, and leftover fragments. From the birth of planets, for billions of years, they follow the quiet laws of gravity, patiently waiting. And then, something happens. Perhaps a violent gravitational encounter with a giant planet, or a collision, or the passing of a neighboring star. Whatever the cause, these small objects are thrown away from the embrace of their parent star. The push is so powerful that they escape the entire system's gravity, sent into a lonely, endless voyage with no destination and no return. This is our gentle definition: an interstellar object. They are not ordinary comets or asteroids, not the children born from the sun's ancient nebula. No, they are wanderers from beyond, matter that has traveled through the dark intergalactic void, crossing the terrifying emptiness between the stars. They have drifted through cosmic darkness for billions of years, perhaps longer than the Earth itself has existed. Imagine the absolute silence of that journey. No air, no sound, no warm light, only the cold, just above absolute zero, nowhere in our solar system. Can we recreate the loneliness and deep frost these travelers have endured? They are frozen grains of time, forgotten explorers, silent messages drifting through eternity. Think of them as bottles in a cosmic ocean, each carrying a chemical signature, a fingerprint of the star system they once called home. By studying them, we touch the unknown worlds indirectly, inhale the scent of distant suns, and hold the matter born from dreams. They are the black diamonds of astronomy, The exploration of these wanderers is still very young. In all of humanity's history of skywatching, we have only recently learned to find them. Before 3I Atlas, we knew only a few familiar precursors, the first messengers that paved the way. The most famous, and the first, was Oumuamua. In 2017, as it passed through our cosmic neighborhood, astronomers in Hawaii gave it a name both poetic and fitting, Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout or messenger from afar. Acted Broblement 710 Dab. From the very beginning, Oumuamua taught us a profound lesson. These objects do not play by our rules. When scientists tracked its path, they noticed something strange. The sun's gravity should have slowed it down slightly as it moved away, yet instead, it sped up. It seemed to be pushed by an invisible force, a gentle pressure unaccounted for by gravity. In our solar system, comets accelerate when solar heat vaporizes their ice, creating jets of gas that act like natural thrusters. But Oumuamua showed no visible tail. It appeared as a long, reddish rock, spinning quietly through space. This non-gravitational acceleration sparked a new era of curiosity. Could Oumuamua be a frozen block of hydrogen ice, silently evaporating? Or perhaps a thin, flat object, pushed by the sun's radiation pressure, like a massive solar sail? Some scientists, cautiously, even considered, however unlikely, that it might be a fragment of alien technology, long dormant, drifting through our skies. Oumuamua is gone now, but it left behind a powerful legacy: scientific doubt. It reminded us of a profound truth. Interstellar matter is not like our own. And now, we have 3I Atlas. With the lesson of Oumuamua behind them, astronomers became more cautious, more observant, and ready for strangeness. When 3I Atlas appeared, it brought new mysteries, new signatures, something entirely different. It was not just a wanderer, but a guest growing ever more peculiar, following its own strange rhythm across the stars. Let your inner vision drift across the night sky. They're not among the familiar constellations, but as a faint ghostly shimmer, a pale traveler sliding across the dark velvet of space. That is 3I Atlas. The story of 3I Atlas begins with a name that sounds dry and technical, yet carries a vital mission. Atlas, short for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a network of telescopes designed to scan the night sky for any space rock that might one day collide with Earth. They are the sleepless sentinels, taking images, comparing patterns, always watching for the smallest sign of motion. And then, on a quiet night, one of Atlas's algorithms noticed something unusual. It was not a stationary star and not a known satellite. It was a faint glow, a thin streak of light, moving with an unusual velocity. In its very first detection, it was only raw data, a line in a spreadsheet, yet it carried extraordinary potential. Imagine streams of data flowing endlessly into the computer until a simple algorithm suddenly whispered, "Something strange." The scientists immediately began tracking the new object. Its faintness suggested one of two things. It was either very small or very far away. That required coordination among several larger observatories, each using their immense light-collecting power to confirm its motion and precisely measure its position. Night after night, every image captured was an attempt to record a speeding grain of dust, sliding silently through the darkness of space. That patience That tireless focus is the true essence of astronomy. And then came the moment when the story grew more intriguing, when physics itself began to whisper. After gathering enough data about its position and speed, the next step was to calculate the object's orbit. This was when scientists began to map its journey, both its past and its future. In our solar system, ordinary objects such as planets, asteroids, or comets are bound by the gravity of the Sunday. Their orbits are ellipses, closed paths, that ensure they will always return, repeating their journeys endlessly. But when the data of 3I Atlas was entered into the model, the results changed everything. Its orbit was not an ellipse. It was a hyperbola, an open curve, a declaration of defiance against gravity itself. That hyperbolic path became undeniable proof. It confirmed that 3I Atlas came from beyond our solar system and that it was moving fast enough to never be captured by the pull of the Sunday. Listen to the whisper of the cosmos. It is fleeing. It will never return. Its velocity, beyond the sun's gravitational reach, and sealed its fate. It is a true alien, a cosmic traveler, using our solar system as a temporary waypoint, a gravitational gate to change direction before diving deeper into the darkness. That moment lifted 3I Atlas from a faint dot of light to a confirmed interstellar object, the third ever recognized in human history. The name 3I means interstellar object number 3, an honorable title of cosmic rarity. This discovery carries profound meaning. It confirms that the space between stars is not empty. It is filled with planetary seeds, fragments flung away from billions of stellar systems across the Milky Way. Each time a star gives birth to planets, thousands, perhaps millions of small pieces are cast into the void. We have only just begun to see a few of them, and the arrival of 3I Atlas after Oumuamua shows that these wanderers are far more common than old models ever predicted. The universe is an ocean, and these objects are messages in bottles drifting quietly among the stars. The portrait of 3I Atlas, therefore, is not merely a faint point of light. It is a witness from a distant star system, carrying matter not born of our Sunday. Perhaps it is a fragment of a shattered planet, a small piece of the vast chaotic mosaic of planetary creation across the galaxy. And from the moment its hyperbolic orbit was confirmed, the true strangeness of 3I Atlas began. If it were just an ordinary rock, the story would have ended there. But 3I Atlas chose to break every expectation, forcing scientists to confront deeper mysteries hidden within the cold heart of the universe. When a comet in our solar system, usually a massive block of ice, travels close to the sun, its temperature begins to rise. The ice, made mostly of frozen water, doesn't melt into liquid but sublimates, turning directly from solid to gas. This process releases a thin layer of gas and dust around the comet's core, forming a faint glowing coma and a long shimmering tail blown backward by the solar wind. That is what we expect from any icy traveler entering the warmth of the inner solar system. But 3I Atlas did not follow that rule. At first, when it came close enough to observe, it looked more like an asteroid, a simple rock, not an icy body. That alone was strange, because most interstellar objects ejected from their home systems are believed to be made of frozen material. Like Oumuamua, its lack of a visible coma led scientists to wonder if it was a dry, heated fragment, a remnant that had drifted through the void for so long that its outer ices had completely evaporated. However, the story didn't end there. After a period of quiet observation, more sensitive cameras began to detect the faintest trace of gas or dust, something so delicate it was almost impossible to distinguish from background noise. It didn't form a thick coma, but rather a subtle haze surrounding the object. This outgassing was so slow, so weak, that it was nothing like a normal comet. It was as if a giant were trying to blow a soap bubble, and only the faintest breath escaped. The object seemed to hover between our definitions. It wasn't quite a comet, since it barely produced a coma, but it wasn't quite an asteroid either, since it showed a hint of activity. This tiny release of material was enough to create a slight non-gravitational push, changing its orbit by the smallest fraction, but never enough to form a visible tail. It was, in essence, a hidden comet, a condition we had never seen before. That strangeness led scientists to question its composition. Could it be made of an extremely volatile type of ice, trapped deep within its body? Or was it built from a dense, chemically stable ice that barely reacted to the sun's warmth? The second and perhaps most fascinating mystery of 3I Atlas lay in the way it reflected light. When an object spins in space, its brightness changes as seen from Earth. If it's perfectly spherical, the light remains constant. But if it has an irregular shape, it brightens when its wider face turns toward us, and dims when its narrow side comes into view. By tracking these fluctuations, scientists can estimate its rotation speed and even infer its shape. For 3I Atlas, the variation in brightness was unusually strong, far greater than what a simple rotating object should produce. The difference between its brightest and darkest sides was striking, suggesting something astonishing about its shape. It might be a flat, elongated body, perhaps even a long, cigar-like form, much like Oumuamua. If such a shape were spinning, its brightness would rise and fall with every turn, flashing and fading like a slow heartbeat of light. This vision, a cosmic blade adrift in darkness, challenges what we thought we knew about the birth of fragments from distant stars. Why do visitors from interstellar space so often appear stretched and strange, while the asteroids of our own system remain rough and compact? Another possibility is gentler, but no less fascinating. Perhaps 3I Atlas is not one body, but two, a pair of tiny companions locked together in an ancient dance. When they align, their combined light grows brighter. When one passes before the other, it fades. The pattern of light that reaches us could be a mixture of spinning and orbiting a duet we can only watch from afar. If that were true, discovering a binary object from another star would be one of the rarest findings in all of astronomy. And so we drift into the realm of speculation, where scientists whisper theories into the dark and try to fit the strange pieces of the puzzle together. The first idea, elegant in its simplicity, tries to explain the behavior of 3I Atlas, not through mystery, but through chemistry. It may not be made of the ordinary water ice we know, but of something far more fragile, ices of hydrogen or solid nitrogen that can exist only in the coldest regions of the galaxy. Imagine the edge of a newborn star system where the temperature hovers just above absolute zero, and even gases can freeze into crystal. If 3I Atlas was born in such a place, its journey through space becomes easier to understand. The faint mist we detected could have begun escaping, while it was still far beyond Jupiter, long before it entered the warmth of our Sunday. It released its breath too early and too softly, so that by the time we saw it, only a thin, invisible haze remained. A comet too quiet for the eye to notice. Even that whisper of escaping gas could act like a gentle push, a tiny exhalation that nudged its orbit ever so slightly. If the gas escaped unevenly from a crack or hollow on one side, the thrust would have been enough to shift its path without ever revealing a visible tail, and that small patient push might be all it took to explain why this traveler from the stars moved as if it carried a secret wind of its own. The first hypothesis turns 3I Atlas into a frozen time capsule, a messenger from the distant past of another star system. It may have carried a great reservoir of hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe, compressed and frozen under the brutal conditions of interstellar space. It stands as evidence that matter ejected from alien suns can have a composition entirely different from the materials found within our own Kuiper belt. The second hypothesis focuses on the extreme variation in brightness, suggesting that the mystery lies in its peculiar shape. Perhaps that strange form is the scar of a catastrophic collision during its cosmic voyage, or the result of a violent birth beyond our imagination. Across billions of years of solitary travel, 3I Atlas may not have been truly alone. It might once have collided with another wandering object, a grain of dust, a drifting fragment, at such tremendous speed that even a soft impact became an act of quiet devastation. The collision did not destroy it completely, but left it forever deformed, flattened like a cosmic pancake, or stretched like a spear of stone adrift in the dark. That distorted shape may be the reason for its wild changes in brightness, flaring brilliantly when its wide side faces us, and almost vanishing when it turns its edge to the light. This idea reminds us that the space between stars is not the perfect silence we imagine, but a hidden battlefield of ancient collisions. 3I Atlas may be one of the survivors, a witness to the endless fragments, still drifting through the galaxy without destination. Another variation suggests it may never have collided at all. Instead, its strange shape could have been carved by immense tidal forces as it was torn away from its parent star system, stretched thin and unstable, before it finally escaped into the dark. Whatever the truth, its distorted form remains a quiet challenge to every model we have of how interstellar objects are born, and at last, when every natural explanation has been tested and none quite fit, we are left to face another possibility, one both daring and quietly haunting, a thought that lingers long after the science ends. The core idea is daring. What if 3I Atlas is not a natural fragment at all, but a long-dead probe, or perhaps an artificial structure, a forgotten gift adrift in the cosmic sea? This hypothesis arises from two key clues. The first lies in its shape. If it truly is flat or unusually structured, that geometry would be ideal for harnessing radiation pressure, the gentle push of sunlight itself, to propel it forward. A thin, lightweight object designed like a solar sail could explain both its dramatic changes in brightness and its mysterious, non-gravitational acceleration. The second clue lies in its silence. Unlike typical comets that roar with vapor and dust, 3I Atlas remained quiet. Perhaps that's because it isn't made of ice at all, but of a solid, engineered material, built to endure billions of years of interstellar drifting. Of course, in science, any idea involving alien life or technology must always be the last hypothesis, considered only after every natural explanation has failed. For now, astronomers lean toward more conventional answers: hydrogen or nitrogen ice, or deformation caused by powerful tidal forces. These explanations remain comfortably within the laws of astrophysics. The notion of an artificial origin is more like a whisper in the night, A beautiful thought, fragile yet persistent, that sparks the imagination, but demands evidence as unshakable as stone. And to understand why this whisper caught so many minds, we must return to a familiar truth from our own neighborhood in space. When a comet in our solar system, a vast frozen wanderer from the outer darkness, moves close to the sun, the heat does not melt the ice into water. Instead, it sublimates, shifting straight from solid to gas. This outgassing releases a veil of gas and dust that shrouds the comet's core in a faint, glowing coma, while the solar wind sweeps the material backward, forming the brilliant comet tail that has captivated human eyes for millennia. So when astronomers learned that 3I Atlas had come from a realm colder even than the Oort cloud, that icy sphere surrounding our solar system, they expected it to blaze into view, to perform like a magnificent comet as it neared the sunday. But what happened next defied every expectation. At first, when 3I Atlas came close enough to be seen, through the most powerful telescopes on Earth, astronomers searched for the familiar glow, the coma, and the long silvery tail of a comet. But all they saw was a solitary point of light, a silent rock adrift in the dark, without a trace of vapor or dust. No tail, no shimmer. Just a solid, lonely traveler that refused to reveal its nature. The absence of a coma stirred curiosity, yet this was not entirely unprecedented. Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor, had shown the same quiet restraint, no visible coma, no plume of gas. It led many to believe that interstellar objects might be wrapped in thick rocky shells, their ices long gone, boiled away by ancient heat. Perhaps we are only seeing the bare, exposed cores of old comets, the fossilized remnants of lost worlds. But the story of 3I Atlas took a different turn, one filled with contradiction and quiet surprise. After it passed perihelion, the closest point to the sun, scientists began using more sensitive instruments, capable of detecting the faintest whispers of light. And then, something subtle appeared. It had activity, but only barely. Deeper images revealed a faint trace of gas or dust, so thin it nearly vanished into the blackness of space. The release was slow, delicate, nothing like the roaring jets of an ordinary comet. No thick halo surrounded it, only a fragile mist, a breath of frozen air. Listen closely to this paradox. It is active, yet almost silent. It releases matter, yet remains invisible. 3I Atlas sits in the space between definitions. Not a comet, for it is too still. Not an asteroid, for it yet breathes. It drifts in that middle ground, where language falters and mystery begins. That faint activity, however, may hold the key. If the escaping gas was uneven, if it vented from only a few narrow cracks, it could act like a tiny thruster, pushing gently, altering its path away from the pure pull of gravity. This supports the idea that 3I Atlas does contain ice, but not any ice we know. Perhaps it hides volatile crystals, or ices buried deep beneath a rocky crust. That crust may act like an ancient armor, thick with dust and stone, allowing only the smallest leaks through narrow fissures, a slow, uneven breathing that moves it ever so slightly. And in that fragile balance, between motion and stillness, between stone and vapor, 3I Atlas continues to drift, defying every definition we try to give it. Perhaps the secret of 3I Atlas lies not in its motion, but in the very ice that shapes its body, ice unlike any we have ever known. Scientists believe it may be composed of highly volatile substances, such as hydrogen or solid nitrogen, materials so delicate they can exist only in places so cold that even time seems to slow. These fragile ices may have begun to sublimate while still far from the sun, out in the frozen reaches beyond Saturn's orbit. So by the time it came closer, most of its energy had already been released. Instead of erupting in brilliance like a typical comet, it exhaled only a thin, ghostly mist, a quiet breath from the edge of space. Whatever the truth may be, the absence of a radiant coma has made 3I Atlas one of the strangest interstellar visitors ever found. It is not simply a wanderer, but an invisible comet, a phenomenon never before seen, a reminder that the laws of chemistry and physics we take as universal may only be one verse in a much larger cosmic song. Perhaps, in distant star systems, matter chooses other forms of existence, unknown, silent, and quietly beautiful. And from that difference, the universe reveals its deepest grace, the beauty of the unexplained, the poetry of what has yet to be understood. Now, we drift further outward, to realms so cold that even light seems to freeze, where scientific thought becomes as delicate as frost, and the name 3I Atlas whispers like an invitation. Here, we meet the most elegant of all theories, a graceful and intricate explanation for the contradictions that define this interstellar traveler. This hypothesis seeks to explain two mysteries at once: why 3I Atlas lacks a bright, glowing coma, and why it seems to possess a subtle, non-gravitational push that gently alters its path through space. It begins with a simple yet profound shift in perspective, that 3I Atlas may not be made of familiar water ice or carbon dioxide ice, but of super volatile materials, such as molecular hydrogen or solid nitrogen. Imagine the outermost reaches of a distant star system, where the light of the parent star is no more than a faint shimmer in the cosmic dark. There, temperatures fall to absolute zero, around 273.15 degrees Celsius, a realm so cold that even atomic motion almost ceases. In such conditions, even the lightest elements in the universe, hydrogen and nitrogen, can freeze into delicate ices, fragile enough that a whisper of warmth is enough to make them sublimate into gas. If 3I Atlas was born in one of these frozen realms, rich in ancient snowflakes of hydrogen and nitrogen, then its strange behavior suddenly makes sense. The absence of a bright coma becomes a natural outcome of early sublimation. Long before reaching the inner solar system, while still drifting in the cold darkness beyond Jupiter or Saturn, its volatile ices had already begun to evaporate. By the time it came near the sun, most of the process was complete. There was little left to shine, only stillness. A quiet, invisible comet, passing through sunlight like a fading breath of ice. The burning of 3I Atlas began far too early in its journey. By the time it approached Earth, and our telescopes turned their gaze upon it, most of its volatile ices had already vanished into silence. Its release of gas was not violent, not sudden, but slow and quiet, a breath stretched across years of frozen space. When it reached its closest point to us, that breath had almost faded away. All that remained was a fragile shimmer, a faint coma drifting softly around its icy core, nearly invisible in the starlight. For this reason, it became known as an invisible comet, a traveler that behaved like a comet, but a super cold one that had burned its energy long before humanity ever saw its glow. The stillness we witness now is not the absence of life, but the echo of an ancient passion, a quiet memory of heat and motion, sealed inside the calm of the stars. The hydrogen-nitrogen ice hypothesis also offers an elegant explanation for the mysterious push that altered the hyperbolic path of 3I Atlas. Even the faintest release of gas, barely measurable, nearly invisible, would create a subtle recoil, a quiet breath sustained over time. If the object wasn't a perfect sphere of ice but had regions covered by thicker rocky crust or narrow cracks clustered along one side, then hydrogen and nitrogen gas would escape unevenly, flowing out from only one direction. That asymmetric exhalation would act like a natural thruster, delicate yet persistent, nudging its trajectory slightly away from what gravity alone could predict. It's a pattern that mirrors what astronomers saw with Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor that also showed a similar non-gravitational acceleration, likely born of the same fragile nitrogen ice. This transforms 3I Atlas into something more than a frozen rock. It becomes a time capsule, preserving the ancient chemistry of a distant star system. It carries materials that could never remain stable as ice within our own solar system. Hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe, is almost never seen frozen in our celestial neighborhood. If 3I Atlas truly contains hydrogen or nitrogen ice, it stands as evidence of an entirely different cosmic chemistry. Matter ejected from other stars may hold compositions vastly unlike our own, rich in supervolatile ices unknown to the Kuiper Belt or the Oort cloud. Its birthplace must have been a realm of extreme cold, a cradle where even hydrogen could solidify. What makes this hypothesis powerful is its restraint. It doesn't reach for alien technology or new physics. It relies only on the quiet logic of nature, on chemistry and temperature, patience and time to explain an extraordinary traveler. But the mystery of 3I Atlas doesn't end with chemistry. As astronomers continued to watch, they noticed that its brightness fluctuated in strange and powerful rhythms, far beyond what a normal spinning object could produce. Its light would surge, then fade almost to nothing, as if the object were changing shape in the dark. From those silent pulses of light, scientists inferred that 3I Atlas was not round at all, but dramatically asymmetric. Some models suggest it could be flat, like a blade of metal, or long and slender like a cosmic spear. If it rotated, its brightness would rise and fall sharply depending on its orientation. When the wide side faced Earth, it gleamed. When the narrow edge turned away, it almost vanished. Others imagined it as a tiny binary pair, two fragments locked together by a faint thread of gravity, orbiting each other in a slow, frozen waltz. When they eclipsed one another, the light dimmed. When they aligned, it brightened again, a distant heartbeat of illumination pulsing through the void. From such limited clues, a picture began to form. Perhaps 3I Atlas had once collided with another interstellar wanderer, not a violent crash, but a glancing strike that warped its body, stretching or flattening it into its current strange shape. Space, though vast, is not perfectly empty. Dust, fragments, and ancient debris still drift and sometimes meet. And 3I Atlas may be one of the survivors, a scarred relic, polished smooth by billions of years of motion. Or maybe it never collided at all. Perhaps its shape was born in the instant it was flung out of its home system, stretched by gravitational tides until its structure bent and twisted, like a ribbon pulled to its breaking point. It carries the memory of that escape, a frozen wound, held in the geometry of its form. Whatever the cause, the distorted shape of 3I Atlas stands as a quiet challenge to our understanding. It reminds us that beyond the reach of our sun, matter can behave in ways our physics has yet to imagine, folding and fracturing into forms that defy the familiar. When every natural explanation has been tested and none fit perfectly, scientists are left standing before the hardest question, the one nobody wants to ask first. If 3I Atlas doesn't quite obey the familiar rules of physics, could it be artificial? The thought was spoken softly, almost as a whisper among researchers, not because it was absurd, but because it demanded humility, the possibility that we might be witnessing something not made by us. If 3I Atlas is truly thin, reflective, and light, perhaps, just perhaps, it was shaped to harness solar radiation pressure, moving through space like a light sail, gliding on beams of starlight instead of fuel. Or maybe it no longer works at all. Perhaps it's a silent probe, drifting endlessly through time and space, its creators long gone, its mission forgotten, a relic from a civilization that has vanished into the dark. Yet in science, the hypothesis of alien technology is always the last resort. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and for now, the natural explanations, hydrogen ice, nitrogen frost, or gravitational stretching, remain the most consistent with observation. Still, the allure of the artificial doesn't lie in certainty, but in wonder. It is the poetry of possibility that somewhere in the vastness, fragile sails of light might drift between the stars, carrying stories of hands we will never meet. By glimpsing 3I Atlas, we may not have found alien life, but we may have brushed against the outer edge of human imagination itself. When 3I Atlas reached its closest point to the sun, its perihelion, its light began to fade, swallowed by the blinding halo of our star. For weeks, it was gone, hidden beyond the glare, beyond the reach of every telescope on Earth. No one knew what happened on the far side of the light. We waited, quietly, in the dark, hoping it would emerge again. It never did. The last data we received showed something impossible. It was brightening slightly, even as it moved away from the Sunday. Some said it was a trick of reflection. Others believed the object might be breaking apart or releasing one final breath of gas, a dying sigh after a journey that had lasted billions of years. Then, it was gone. No signal, no reflection, no trace, only a single line of coordinates, ending abruptly in the cosmic dark. Telescopes kept searching, sweeping the heavens like fingertips brushing through shadows. But 3I Atlas had already returned to interstellar space, to the silence it came from, a small point of light that passed briefly through our story, carrying with it the memory of another world we'll never know. Perhaps it still drifts there now, cold and solitary, among unnamed stars. Or perhaps millions of years from now, it will pass another sun, and another civilization will look up, wondering if they too are alone. And as you close your eyes tonight, remember this. Somewhere out there, a tiny traveler continues its voyage between the stars. It searches for nothing. It simply moves gently, quietly, like a thought drifting through the mind of the universe. When 3I Atlas vanished into darkness, a quiet stillness settled over those who had followed its path. There were no more data, no more images, only silence. But in that silence lay its final gift. Because in the disappearance of one object, we came to see ourselves more clearly. We had tracked a frozen rock, yet what we truly observed was the reflection of human curiosity, that ancient urge that made us lift our heads and whisper, "Is anyone out there?" 3I Atlas never answered. It didn't need to. Its silence was the answer. In the universe, nothing appears by accident. An object travels for billions of years, crossing the void, passing through our sky for a heartbeat, then fades away, and somehow, that changes everything. We realize that each time we look up, It is not only us observing the cosmos is observing itself through us. The atoms in our bodies were born in long-dead stars. The photons that reach our eyes may have begun their journey before Earth even existed. When we breathe, we inhale the ashes of ancient explosions. When we dream, we borrow the memory of light. And perhaps that's why 3i Atlas moves us so deeply, not because it is strange, but because it is familiar. It is lonely, wandering, forever in motion, yet never sure of its destination. A fragment of matter carrying the memory of where it once belonged, just as we do. We think we are the ones chasing knowledge, but maybe knowledge has always been chasing us. 3i Atlas carried no message, yet by existing, it sent one. The universe is still mysterious enough to humble us. We don't need proof of alien life to feel less alone. It's enough to know that something is drifting out there, a traveler reminding us that we are not the center of anything. There is a strange kind of beauty in that truth, because when humanity is no longer at the center, we become free. Free to be small, to be curious, to love what we do not understand. Free to listen to the quiet, to sense that the silence of the stars is not empty, but a different kind of conversation. If you're hearing these words late at night, know that you are lying on a grain of dust within a galaxy, and that dust is thinking about itself. That is the miracle. The universe has become self-aware in the brief shape of you. Perhaps 3i Atlas sent no signal, spoke no language, but by passing through, it reminded us of another kind of dialogue, one made of presence, not sound. Not every form of life needs to speak. Not every wonder must be explained. So when you close your eyes, imagine drifting not into sleep, but into the slow rhythm of the cosmos itself. There is no border between you and the void. You are part of its breath, part of its heartbeat. Someday, every particle that makes you will be released, carried on cosmic winds to places where light has never been. And perhaps, billions of years from now, someone else will look up from a distant world, see a faint moving point in their night sky, and ask, could it have come from somewhere I've never known? When that happens, you will be the question, a fragment of awareness sent through space in the shape of matter. No reply, no words, only continuation. The universe does not need us to answer. It only needs us to ask back. And every time you lift your eyes to the sky and whisper, "Who am I in all this?" the universe hears itself again. Let your mind keep drifting, as if 3i Atlas never vanished, but simply moved a step ahead of us. In this universe, there are no endings, only continuations, orbiting endlessly between light and shadow. Though its trail fades from view, every traveler leaves behind a path, an invisible current we can still follow. We will trace that path deeper into the outskirts of the galaxy, where the stars grow thin and the familiar rules of physics begin to tremble. That is where the next mysteries await. Worlds colder than thought itself, dying black dwarfs, ghost stars that no longer shine, and silent spaces where time seems to pause. Breathe slowly. Let your awareness open, like a telescope adjusting its focus, because the next journey will not be about seeing, it will be about listening to the universe. We will travel to places where light no longer reaches, where matter dissolves into energy, and energy becomes thought. There, in the stillness, we will touch what physicists call the cosmic microwave background, the final whisper of the Big Bang, the oldest warmth still lingering in space. Our next journey begins there, with the echo of creation, where everything began, and where the universe first asked its question, because the cosmos is not only seen, it is felt. And tonight, As everything grows quiet, we will move deeper into its calm, to a place where the universe begins to whisper about itself. Out there, the universe is breathing with you. There are no sounds, only tiny, patient vibrations rippling softly through everything that exists. If you listen deeply enough, you can hear a faint wave moving in all directions, passing through every atom, every heart, every dream. This is the cosmic microwave background, the oldest warmth that still remains. It is the lingering echo of the first separation between light and darkness. 13.8 billion years ago, there were no stars, no galaxies, only a dense ocean of plasma, glowing, restless, and infinite. Within that ocean, light could not travel freely. Every photon was trapped, scattered again and again, until the universe itself began to cool. Then, about 380,000 years after the Big Bang, something miraculous happened. Protons and electrons finally joined to form the first atoms, and when they did, light was released. That moment, the decoupling of light from matter, is the birth of the cosmic background radiation. It still surrounds you now, a soft blanket of warmth at only 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. Whenever you gaze into the dark of the night sky, you are looking at that ancient light, the light of origin, traveling for nearly 14 billion years to reach your eyes. It is not the light of brilliance, but the light of memory. It tells of a time before stars, before planets, before us, a time when existence itself was learning how to expand. It is the first warmth and the first silence. Satellites like COBE, WMAP, and Planck have mapped that glow. And the strange thing is, it isn't perfectly smooth. Across that map, there are tiny ripples, temperature variations of only a few millionths of a degree. Those ripples are the seeds of everything, of galaxies, stars, and life itself. Without them, the universe would have remained a flat, featureless sea of energy, forever still. Those subtle fluctuations are the fingerprints of creation, the faint tremors of a young universe still finding its form. And now, you are hearing them again, not with your ears, but with your awareness. Imagine drifting through that invisible ocean of warmth. There is no up, no down, only the slow motion of waves, like breath, surrounding you in the gentle heat that has never truly faded. It is not just physical warmth, it is cosmic memory, a temperature that once touched every atom in your body, long before Earth ever existed. And if you listen long enough, you will understand. The universe was never truly silent. It has been whispering all along, telling the story of its very first dawn. The photons surrounding you now, invisible, ancient travelers, have been drifting for over 13 billion years, carrying the memory of the universe's first dawn. No eye sees them, yet they are here, flowing through the empty spaces between atoms, moving like slow memories in the dark. Light is not just what lets us see, it is how the universe remembers. Each photon is a fragment of time, bent and preserved, a witness to the instant it was born. It never grows old, never fades.